Okay, the good guys work some more. They are approaching a risky bad guy, Gus. When they bring him into the future, he doesn't agree with them, and is hasty to look for Lalo and seek cover, because he hears rumors that he was here. He doesn't know that Lalo left. The good guys work some more. There are times when the good guys get their faith shaken, and they get teleported back to the present. They have worked a lot, and this has become a big thing spreading across the galaxy. Someone spotted Crux in one of their time travels. They chase him down. They trick him into entering the future by chasing him into a portal. That way all the good guys can look for him. Crux escapes, however. He gets the secret message that was sent to him by the Overlord a long time ago. It leads him to a bunker where he finds maps to secret bases and hiding spots. He uses them to evade the good guys. He tries using faith in the same way that the good guys are to go back in time, but it doesn't work because he isn't doing it out of love. He's doing it to find the time blades. So Crux goes back to his original plan for hunting down the time blades. Crux is able to sense where the time blade landed, where the time blade could have landed, because his elemental powers are attracted to it. This is because it absorbed the power of the other three after the crash. Because of the absorbed power, the time blade can be used to go back in time, but the power is limited, so it can only be used a few times. After he gets it, he wants to use it as little as possible to find the other three, so he can go back in time as much as possible, as much as he wants, after he's rebuilt the Iron Doom. Crux and Gus meet. Gus did this on purpose, but Crux didn't know it. Gus had done research on time travel after he had been brought here, and he learned about the Time Twins. He questioned Crux. Crux sees him as a potential ally and tells him that he has the power to sense the Time Blade. And Gus smiles, then out of nowhere attacks Crux. They fight, and Gus tells him how he will capture Crux, then force him to find the Time Blade so that Crux can use them for himself. But eventually Crux is able to escape. Crux looks for a way to get rid of Gus because he knows that Gus is smart and that after Crux finds the Time Blade, Gus could potentially get it. While this was happening, Moro sent a message to the good guys. The people that Chen had made a reserve in the Cursed Realm / Spectral Lands for were all of the old Republic Sith that came back and did that attack on the Jedi Temple. The Sith can also fly now because they have ghost bodies. They want to attack now because both Obi-Wan and Anakin don't have Force powers. They carry Vengestone bows and arrows that shoot Vengestone into people, which stops their Force powers forever. The Sith are also affected by the Vengestone if it is near them, so they can't use Force powers while they are using these Vengestone bows and arrows. But they are not affected by one of their own arrows if they are shot by it, because the arrows will just go right through their ghost bodies. Moro sees all this has happened in the Spectral Lands and tells the good guys about all this. The good guys find out about Chen. Moro tells them that the Sith are coming to attack. He also tells them that if they destroy the part of the Spectral Lands where Chen made a reserve, they would destroy the Old Republic Sith. The good guys gather at the Jedi Temple. Chen knows he can't take them all at once, so he sends out ghosts everywhere around the world to split the good guys up. So groups of good guys leave the temple and go around the world to protect people from ghosts. Then the Old Republic Sith come to attack the temple. The ninja, Obi-Wan, and Anakin are on the front lines guarding, because they have golden powers immune to Vengestone, or have already lost their powers. Then they remember that they can use water to destroy them, so they do it quickly, but they still come back at the reserve in the Spectral Lands. On their second attack, they set one Sith aside without any Vengestone so that he can use the Force. He uses the Force to block all water attacks. The good guys retreat, and hide. They figure out that the Old Republic Sith are coming after Pythor, and that he must be what they're going to use to try to turn Chen into an Anachondri. They make a plan. Pythor allows himself to get caught, while some good guys follow. The Sith take Pythor to Chen's secret base, where the reserve is. When they take him to Chen, Pythor convinces Chen to make them leave so that they are all alone. Now that Pythor and Chen are all alone, they talk about the Serpentine War. Then Pythor takes out a blade and battles Chen. When this happens, the good guys that were following hear it and know that it's time to go. They jump out and fight the Old Republic Sith. The good guys are able to get some of the bows from the Sith and shoot them with it, only to realize that it doesn't affect them. They don't use water because they're trying to trick the bad guys, because if they use water, then the bad guys will be teleported back at the reserve, and they don't want that because they need the reserve to be unguarded for this plan. All this was done so that Moro can sneak by and destroy the reserve. He sneaks by the Sith and enters the secret base. He beats some guards and has to cross the room where Pythor and Chen are fighting to get to the reserve. He enters the room. Him and Pythor corner Chen. Then Chen presses a secret button in the wall and calls all the Sith to come. All the Sith come and enter the room. The good guys are chasing after them, and Moro runs through the gate to the reserve to destroy it. A Sith jumps at him and gets him, but soon Obi-Wan comes and gets the Sith out of the way. Moro gets back up and keeps running. Another Sith jumps at him. Then Anakin comes and keeps the Sith busy. So Moro continues running. All the good guys are fighting all the Sith in this room. There are too many Sith, and one of them is just flying alone in the corner. He gets an arrow ready and winds it back, and as Ahsoka is fighting multiple Sith and so is Luke, the Sith shoots it towards Luke. Ahsoka jumps in the way of it and it hits her instead. But it's okay because she still has her original body. She still has her original body, which didn't come through the portal to Order 66 that can still use the Force. Moro gets into the room. Pythor and Chen's duel goes outside, then back inside through a window that they break, then upstairs, then out an upstairs window onto the side of the house, the side of the outside wall, going upwards to the roof. They are on the roof of the secret base and fighting. Pythor finally defeats Chen and tells him to call off the Sith or else he will throw Chen off the roof. Chen begs and says that he can't call them from here. Pythor says that he knows there is a secret switch somewhere here that can call them, but Chen still begs. Chen convinces him, so he tries to go back down while carrying Chen to make him tell them. But as he gets to the edge of the roof, Chen pushes Pythor off and stands there victorious. Moro has made it to the room where the reserve, and Ahsoka sees the reserve and realizes what it is. She has studied about it and knows that the only way to deactivate it is if a ghost possesses it, which is likely to kill the ghost, which will likely kill the ghost. She tells this to Moro while holding back a Sith, and he says, "I know." He puts his hand on it and yells in pain as he's trying to possess it. The Sith fight harder. As Chen walks along his roof towards a secret helicopter to escape, he hears hissing behind him and is suddenly tripped by Pythor. They fight, and Chen gets on the helicopter, and Pythor jumps on too. It starts flying and going forward. Chen and Pythor fight on the helicopter as it's flying away. Moro says he doesn't have enough power, so Obi-Wan walks in, and because he was a Force ghost before, he has the ghost ability to possess it. So he puts his hand on and possesses it. But it isn't enough because he's not that experienced in possessing objects. So Anakin walks in too and possesses it. The Sith fight really hard, and one of them is able to break through the good guys' defense and is walking up to Anakin. He reaches out with his lightsaber and attacks Anakin while his back is turned towards the reserve. The attack is blocked by Ahsoka. But as she looks to the side, she sees another Sith that has broken through the defense and is going for Obi-Wan, and he stabs Obi-Wan through the heart. And Ahsoka yells, "No." And then the Sith she was blocking hits her, and she falls and loses her lightsaber. He winds up an attack and brings his lightsaber down towards her, but before it touches her, the possession worked, and all the Sith disappeared. And Moro is sucked into the reserve, and it explodes, pushing Anakin back. The helicopter Chen and Pythor are on is heading right for a mountain because no one is steering it. Chen tells Pythor about this to make him let down his guard, but Pythor continues fighting. As the helicopter is about to hit the mountain at full speed, Pythor jumps off. It explodes into the mountain, and Chen falls all the way down and into a lake, where he dies. It shows Pythor's face there. Then the camera shows Pythor's face while there are helicopter sounds, and it zooms out and it shows the jet that he and Scales are in. Scales had caught Pythor just as he jumped off the helicopter like he did in Season 1 of Ninjago. Back at Chen's secret base, the good guys are cleaning things up, and Anakin went right to Obi-Wan and saw that he was hit, and Ahsoka came too, and Obi-Wan said a few words, then he died. The good guys were busy with all this, so Crux had enough time to look for the Time Blade. After some time, Crux finds the Time Blade. Crux did some research, and he found out where Gus's home planet was, where he died before and who killed him. He realized that if Walter White had a motive to kill Gus and was able to do it, then he could do it again. The good guys are still on his tail, so he uses the time blade to bring back Walter White right after his first day in New Hampshire, so he can distract the good guys and so that he can kill Gus. Walt and Crux team up. Walt agrees to hunt down Gus because Walt wants revenge for Hank and losing his family. Anakin and the good guys know all this, and Anakin knows how to make Walt good. It's by showing him the future of his life and all the good that happens. So they hunt down Walt. All Anakin has to do is touch him like Vader did to him. Walt learns that he can use the Force and becomes very powerful. There is a scene where Gus is hiding in a public bathroom and Walt crushes the stalls one by one with the Force. After chasing Gus for a while and not being able to find him, he asks Crux to use the time blade. He tells him to go back in time to Albuquerque around the time of Breaking Bad. He wants to take out Jesse and Saul and some others to help him find Gus here. They open the portal and Walt goes through while Crux waits there with the time blade. Gus was only a little farther than Walt, and he notices them opening this portal. He goes through the portal too, and Crux doesn't recognize him because Gus was wearing a black cloak. And Crux doesn't stop him either because he doesn't really care who goes through this portal unless it's an enemy. Anakin was only a little behind, so he noticed the portal too. Crux hides, and Anakin runs through the portal to stop Walt from bringing Jesse and Saul. Crux yells through the portal to warn Walt. Anakin gets his Force powers back, but only because he's in the portal in the past before his Force powers were taken by the blade. Walt and Anakin fight, and both are using the Force. Anakin just needs to touch Walt once. Meanwhile, Gus is here, and he calls Mike and all his other past workers and brings them through the portal into the future. Walt and Anakin's fight is going nowhere, and they are both very tired. So Walt decides to lead Anakin as far away as possible during their fight and then run back to the portal so Crux can close it and trap Anakin here before he comes through. So then, as Walt makes it through, and as Crux is closing the portal, Jesse comes out of nowhere, speeding in his car, and it knocks the time blade out of Crux's hand and disorients Walt after he got out of the way. Jesse takes the time blade. Anakin makes it through the portal, and Jesse throws him the time blade. Anakin pushes Walt through the portal and closes it. They capture Crux. It was the normal Jesse. He came after what he had heard in Alaska. Anakin and Jesse get along, and Jesse tells him that on the way here he saw Gus driving in the opposite direction of the portal with Mike in them. As they think on how to approach this situation, a heart-shaped leaf blows in the wind and lands on Jesse's shoulder for a brief moment. Jesse goes back and picks it up because he swears he saw writing on it. It said, "A gift from God is not what you'd expect, it's more." And then they make a plan. They find Mike and inform him of what's happening and convince him to join them. It takes a while. He tells them all the weaknesses of Gus's new makeshift empire, and they are able to capture all of Gus's men alive, but Gus gets away in a supercar. Then they get one of his supercars and chase him. They go for a long time until they are way out on a desert road. Then Gus spins out and crashes and flies out the windshield and dies. Mike and them brake really fast so they don't hit him, and their car does a 90-degree turn on the road. They get out and calm down. But then from behind them, they are shot at by Gus. It hits Mike a couple times, but in an okay spot. Anakin too, except it hits Anakin in a deadly spot and knocks him out. Gus had brought another version of himself too when he was inside the portal. They carry Anakin and take cover behind their car. Gus says, "You really didn't think that when I was in the past I wouldn't bring back myself as well?" The good guys don't know what to do. Then the camera zooms in to a rock on the side of the road next to them. They get into their car and start driving towards Gus. He shoots at it and then turns around and keeps shooting when it passes him. Then Mike knocks out Gus from behind. Then Mike says, "Good idea, kid," to Jesse. The camera cuts to that same rock laying on the gas pedal of their car. Then it zooms out and shows the car driving. They tie Gus up, they call other good guys to capture the moving car so that no one gets hurt. Meanwhile, they start looking for a way to save Anakin. Mike searches Gus's car and finds nothing. Then he searches Gus's second car that was following them and finds a phone that's on speaker. Mike discovers that it's Gus's doctor on the other side. They drive immediately to Gus's doctor and convince him that Gus wants Anakin to live because he's one of Gus's men. And they tell him that he's very important. He believes them because Mike is here. They are able to work right away because the doctor had started preparing things when he heard gunshots on the phone call and then didn't hear Gus for a while. They take the bullet from Anakin and he is healed. Then Mike takes the doctor and his people to a secret place. He says that they will be safe here. But he's only keeping them here for later when they try to save them too. Then they continue with the mission and save all of Gus's men, Gus and Gus's doctor and his team. They get lots of help from Jesse because in addition to being a carpenter, he had become sort of a preacher in Alaska. They use the time blade that they got from Crux one more time to go back to where they left Walter. They see him sitting alone. He turns around and says, "I knew you'd be back." He has given up because he already knows they've won and have captured Crux and secured Gus and have the time blade and outnumber him. Walter was mad and he accidentally shot himself because he had his gun and he shot himself, but he didn't know that it was loaded, but it was loaded and it accidentally shot him in the side previous to this. He thinks he's going to die because this is where Mike was shot too when Walt killed him. But they tell him that he actually didn't hit any vitals and that he will live. And he smiles and says that he never really knew these types of things. And he bends down and Anakin touches his head and Walt learns about his whole life. And he bends back up with a shocked/shy look on his face. And then he stands up and says, "Did I really do all that?" And he was referring to all the bad things that he just did recently. And he walks with them through the portal, and they close the portal, and the time blade runs out of power to open any more portals. Now they have Walt to help them on the mission, along with all his force abilities. After a while, Walt wants his family back. And they find out that they're actually still alive, and that Holly is all grown up. And they bring them to where Walt is, and Skylar forgives him, and Walt slowly changes his looks to how they were at the beginning of Breaking Bad. And they live happily ever after, with Jesse and his wife and kids too. The good guys destroy Crux's time blade and save him. He finds out that he couldn't have completed his mission anyway because the reversal blade was destroyed in Ninjago Season 7 and couldn't be found. Crux tells them that theoretically, if one of the time blades absorbed energy from the others, then it's possible that Akronix himself could have absorbed energy from them. They go on a super hard mission to find Akronix, to stop him from doing any bad, and then to save him too. They find the other two time blades and destroy them. Then they carry on with the mission and bring all of the bad guys back and save them. They find out that Padme was also taken through the time travel by Palpatine and Plagueis, the same way Anakin's mother was, and placed on Naboo. Her being on a different planet would slightly change the way she looked, so the Sith used the machine to see what she would look like in the future, and brought her to a family who had a daughter that would look like her, and swap them, which was Padme's sister in Star Wars, but they failed to swap the children and had left Padme outside on a balcony and ran away so they wouldn't get spotted. The parents found Padme and took her in. As the sisters grew up, it was surprising how similar they looked without being related. They found out that the version of Padme that wasn't taken grew up to be Skylar White from Breaking Bad. So Skylar and Padme are the same person. Plagueis and Palpatine wanted to take Skylar because they hoped to create Luke out of the high metachlorians she and Anakin would have, so they could turn Luke to the dark side. And it's cool that Padme and Anakin found each other on Earth too, as Skylar and Walter. Mike goes back in time and gives his wife a choice to stay with the young Mike she's with right now or come with him. And he doesn't tell them all to come to the present because they would have to leave their home. And Mike wanted it to be fully her decision. And she stays. Then they make up time TV, which Mike can use to watch the moments of his family in the past. But Stacy and Kaylee agree to come with Mike because they're so happy to see him after so much time. The rest of the team brought them to surprise Mike. Then one day Jesse realizes that somehow they brought back Mike, and he goes to the team and asks them if Mike was already saved before they brought him back. Mike says he was. So how did they bring him back? They all stood there for a moment in silence. Then a heart-shaped leaf slightly touched the window after being blown by the wind, and Jesse remembers. God had let them bring back Mike from the dead as a gift, because Mike didn't need saving. As Jesse tells them about this, another heart-shaped leaf hits the window. From this, they get the idea to bring back Hank from the past too. Then they see hundreds of heart-shaped leaves blowing against the window, and it causes the whole room to light up green and have streaks of sunlight dancing around it. Then all the leaves blow away, and they wonder what this could mean. They think about how they'll bring back Hank. But bringing back Hank is a hard task, because if they bring any version of Hank, they have to tell him the truth, and then he will get mad at Walt, and it will be a disaster. They find a specific spot where they can get Hank without having these problems. It is where Hank is about to be killed by Jack. This version of Hank knows about Walt's crimes and is the closest to forgiving Walt. So they bring Hank back, and he has forgiven Walt. Then they get the idea to bring Saul too. They go to the prison that he's in and offer to free him. And because of his good behavior and relationship with these good people, they allow him to leave. But Saul himself doesn't want to go, and he chooses to face his punishment. Walt, Jesse, Mike, and Hank, along with their families, are now neighbors and live as a family. As like an extended family. And after a few weeks, Saul shows up as a neighbor here too. The state knew what he had chosen and honored him by letting him free anyway. He brought Kim with him. Lots of good guys died during all these past events, and everyone ever ended up being saved. As a surprise for keeping the promise of not bringing back anyone from the dead, God brings back Master Wu and everyone else that has died during these events, and all the characters reunite. Everyone around the galaxy starts using faith, and they raise people from the dead, and soon everyone and their families are alive again. As this happens, Anakin sees a vision. It's the creepy place with the falling building, and he realizes that this is spiritual warfare, and all the evil strongholds are broken down, and in the distance he sees a dark cloak assembling an army of darkness. Then as the whole world turns dark, before it becomes pitch black, a streak of light shines from the sky, almost blinding, and it melts the entire army. Then Anakin leaves the vision. Okay, and then that's when this video takes place, and this is where like the characters are play fighting and celebrating, and then after that all of these things happen. Obi-Wan ends up marrying Satine and having a boy and a girl, and Kylo Ren and Rey marry and have a boy and a girl. The Breaking Bad family gets a time TV to watch the events of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad together. The Ninjago family do the same thing and watch all of Ninjago together, and the same thing happens with the other shows and characters. The characters watch the real-life versions of Star Wars, Marvel, and Series of Unfortunate Events on time TVs. And they made films for all the Hello Neighbor and Granny stories. In the end, they end up saving everyone, and in the very end, then Jesus comes back, everyone goes to and has fun with Jesus in heaven.